Susan felt a rage-packed fist hit her jaw. She heard an odd-sounding crunch before she felt the pain, and was unsure whether the sound had come from her jawbone or the cracking of his fingers. She prayed it was the latter. She wanted him to hurt as much as she was. Or more. Before Jim had a chance to land a second blow from his left hand to her right cheek, she ducked and scrambled out of his line of vision. Jim was drunk, and she knew from past experience that when he was this far gone, he'd never be able to keep up with her quick moves. She dodged to the right and whirled around behind him. She didn't dare kick him or land a blow because he would only become more angry. What she wanted was to exhaust him. The sharp, jabbing pain in her jaw had radiated to include what felt like half her face, but she couldn't waste a split second thinking about it or she would lose her advantage over him. Jim grabbed her arm. "You bitch." He squeezed very hard on the fleshy underside of her arm. Susan winced and tried to break free, but Jim only tightened his grip. She screamed, "Ah! Let me go!" Suddenly, Susan became terrified that her cries would wake Robbie, her 7-year-old son, who was sleeping in the first bedroom down the hall. She closed her mouth and glared at Jim. That's right. You don't want to wake Robbie. Precious Robbie. You'd do anything for him, wouldn't you? But you won't for me, huh? Isn't that about the size of it?" "Let me go, Jim." She struggled against him, forcing herself to forget that he was her husband, the man she loved, and who was supposed to love her. Jim wasn't Jim anymore. "No, I want you to listen to me." "I'll listen when you're sober." "You don't listen to me then either. Nobody does. Not you, not your precious Robbie." "He's your son, too." Susan tried to reason with him. She made a special effort to keep her voice soothing and clear of the pain she felt from her jaw and in her heart. "You claim. Guess I'll never really know." He dug his emotional knife in deep for the kill, yet the thought caused him to falter for a half-second. The glitch in time gave Susan the break she needed. She wrenched free of his grasp and dodged his next attack when he dove toward her with the full force of his body. Susan was taking no chances. She quickly turned to the right and stuck her leg directly across his path, tripping him. Jim went sailing toward the hardwood floor and landed hard, as if he'd passed out cold in mid-air. His head banged on the floor with a sickening thud. Susan counted to 3 before she approached Jim's body. She didn't care if he was dead. She needed to be certain he wasn't still awake and simply waiting to pounce on her again. She stood cautiously next to his still body. She kicked him lightly in the ribs. She felt like one of those heroines in a movie thriller when the audience is screaming, "Don't go near him, he's still alive! Stay away, stay away!" Susan heeded her own inner voice and quickly stepped over him and went straight to her bedroom. Finally, the night had come, when she could execute her plan. She went to her bedroom and from under the bed pulled out 4 pieces of brand-new soft collapsible luggage, still in the shopping bag from Walmart. She rolled up the Walmart bag and shoved it under the belt of her jeans for later use. She quickly opened all her drawers in the bureau and began carefully filling the suitcases. Everything fit nicely and neatly, just as she'd thought. For 6 months, Susan Kidd had thought of nothing else except how she would escape from Jim. The question of if she should leave Jim had been settled in her mind after Christmas last year, when Jim had hit her for the first time. Her eye was so badly blackened she'd spent nearly the entire month of January indoors. She knew that if he'd crossed the line once, he would surely beat her again. That January she had devised her plan and begun to make subtle alterations in the way she kept house. Susan had placed in the first bureau drawer all the things she would need when she ran away: passport, credit cards, savings bonds, cash. It was only $300 she'd saved from her grocery money, but still cash. 1 pair of gold hoop earrings, a ruby dinner ring her parents had given her on her 18th birthday, and her small diamond engagement ring had all been placed carefully inside a blue drawstring cloth bag, with the Seagram's Royal Crown logo embroidered on the front. The kids owned many of these bags, indiscreet testimony to the extent of Jim's drinking these days. Susan had used them to store everything from Robbie's marbles to Jim's cufflinks. Jim would never miss this one. She knew her jewelry would bring her no more than a few $100s at a pawn shop, but it was all she had.